I've been interested ever since I could hear. Fortunately for me, I guess, I grew up in a home where there was always music being played, all kinds of music. Gut Bucket Blues, gospel, classical, jazz. And I had two older sisters, and so there was constantly music being played in our home, and I always loved music. And my mom sang and played an old upright piano that we had in the house. And when I was probably 3 or 4 years old, I used to start going to the piano and banging on it and call myself singing. So I've been interested in music ever since I've been me. Well, I would say that I was always encouraged by my mom. My mom passed when I was 10, but she always encouraged me to be musical and sing because she knew I loved that, and she would take me to little talent shows and stuff like that. But as far as a person who mentored me that really made a difference in my musical life, that would have to be Berry Gordy, who is the guy who founded Motown. He is my best friend right today. And when I met Berry, I was 16 years old, and this was prior to him starting Motown. And Jackie Wilson was my #1 singing idol as a kid growing up. And Berry Gordy had written all the hit songs for Jackie Wilson. He was a songwriter in Detroit, and so he had written all the hit songs for Jackie Wilson. And one of the guys in our group had a cousin who told us that Jackie Wilson's managers were in town talent scouting. So we went to sing for them. And I've always tried to write songs since I was 5 years old. And so rather than us singing a bunch of songs that were currently popular by other artists, we figured if we go and sing some songs that I'd written, this is going to get us in with them because they said, oh, these kids got their own material and everything. So we sang 5 songs that I had written. Now, they rejected us. They didn't like us at all. But Berry Gordy just happened to be at that audition because he was going to give Jackie some new songs. And he liked 2 of the songs that we sang. And he came outside after the audition and introduced himself. And I was wowed because he said he liked 2 of my songs. And that's how Berry Gordy and I struck up a relationship. And he actually, because when I would write songs, I would have 5 songs in one song because the first verse had nothing to do with the second verse. And the second verse had nothing to do with the bridge and like that. But he sat me down that day and he just, I must have sang 25 songs for Berry that day. He never once said, I'm tired, that's enough, man, okay, He just critiqued him. He just said, oh, man, well, you should have so-and-so, and you should have done this. And that. So he's the one who taught me how to write songs professionally and how to listen and see what songs were. He told me songs are a short book. They're like a beginning and a middle and an ending that tie in together, or like a short story or something like that. And even if you don't really end it, you give people enough material so that they can draw their own conclusion. And so I would say that he has been the strongest influence as far as me becoming a professional songwriter, a professional musician. Growing up in school, we always had music programs. I was in from the time I was 6 years old, I was in the junior glee club. And then when I got old enough, I was in the senior glee club. And then when I went to junior high and high school, I was in the choir. And when I was 8 years old, I started to take alto saxophone lessons. And I was in the elementary school band. And they had programs like that. I just came from doing a thing in Washington, D.C. at the Kennedy Center. And the guy who runs the Kennedy Center there, Neil, he is an advocate like I am. I've spoken to Congress about this, for getting the arts back into the schools, especially the inner city schools, because it's a shame that those programs had to be cut out of the school programs because they don't really cost the schools anything. You know what I mean? Because, and they give the kids something to occupy their time that's attached to school that they love. Kids love singing. Kids love dancing. Kids love acting. Kids love playing instruments, So we had those programs when I was in school. And it gave us extracurricular activities that we loved. And it kept our interest in school up and high. And we need stuff like that for the schools. Now, what is it going to cost them to do that? And there's so many people like me, I would donate instruments to the schools. I would donate the time. You know what I mean? And probably anybody in the music business would do the same thing. Because if we don't hurry up and start to think like this, pretty soon our kids are not going to know how to read music. Reading is very, very, very important. When I talk to young kids now and they're playing piano or guitar and stuff like that, I tell them, learn how to read. Because when you do, you're going to be eons ahead of everybody who doesn't know. Yeah? And so the program at the Kennedy Center last week was pertaining to that, pertaining to trying to reestablish the arts back in our schools. We need that so desperately. And if anybody sees this interview who has the power to do something or to donate something or something, please do it. Our kids need that. They need that desperately. And we need it because the rest of the world will be so far ahead of us musically if we don't do that.